let's also get to the next subject that we're talking about, and it's about the issue about corruption. And the World Anti-Corruption Day was marked over the weekend, and we know that we have Transparency International. Ghana has also signed on to protocols as part of the UN body, and we have just not been doing well on the Corruption Perception Index. Now, that index is a measurement of citizens' perception about how well their government are doing to tackle corruption. Now, we'll put on the screens for you how the last few years we have performed on the World Corruption Perception Index. 2011, on the scale, we're 69. You scale it up, and by 2014, 61. And then also significantly, 2015, we were 56 on the index, 70, 2016, and then by 2017, we were 81. Now, since then, we've just been hovering around 78, 80, 75, and 81, 78, 80% in 2019, and we've just never been able to get out of the 70 bracket. The last time we measured, that'll be last year, because we're in 2023. The report should come by the beginning of the next year, etc. We're 72. So the perception of Ghanaians about how or not we are tackling corruption is just not good. Why is that? The Transparency International, in marking this over the weekend, does indicate that it looks like the use of the ANAS principle is not working. There's no commitment. They also mentioned or cited the Office of the Special Prosecutor, led by Kisia Jabin, his lamentations as part of the concerns lately. That also tends to make comprehensive what the perception is that government or the executive, the Akufo-Addo-led government, is not dealing with corruption, even though the rhetoric seems to be different. So why have we gotten here? Why should we be having a perception of Ghanaians, of the citizenry, that we're not doing well to tackle corruption, whilst the government at all functions and opportunity it gets says that we're doing everything and that we have every law and that the commitment is there? Palgrave.
Yeah, Roland, I think that the commitment of President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to fight corruption is been very resolute. It's President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo who set up the Office of the Special Prosecutor and appointed Martin Amidu as the first Special Prosecutor and Kisia Jabin as the second Special Prosecutor. The document really states that globally, all around the world, there are corruption incidences that raise close to about $12 billion globally.
By way of losses.
Globally. About $12 billion is lost to corruption. And on the sub-region of Africa as a continent, close to about 3.6 trillion annually to about 50 billion in Africa. So clearly you would realize that at the backbench of making sure that you have stronger systems, you have robust institutions that are working effectively for you, is to make sure that you tackle corruption. And I have not seen any government in this Fourth Republic that has been so head-on like President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo in his desired fight against corruption, which is why our government set up the Office of the Special Prosecutor, needed to say of the challenges that comes along with it. You also must realize that beyond the corruption and the fights against corruption are other state institutions like SRAJ, like YOCO, also doing an extremely good work in ensuring that persons that are involved in corrupted related activities or persons that might have purchased items through corrupt means. In recent times, YOCO were arresting vehicles and picking up vehicles that might have either been purchased by wrong means or stolen or all of that into this country. Yoko were trying to work on it. And so there are lots more successes that our government has struck, which is what we must highlight, because globally, corruption is a very big challenge for the entire world. When close to about 12 billion US dollars is lost to corruption on an annual basis. But in country, very clearly, all reported cases that has come that the president and Danko Akufo-Addo has referred either to the police CID or either to the office of the special prosecutor has been attended to, and the results as well has come out. There are incidences to cite of persons that were cited for corruption and corrupted related activities in terms of allegations. Those allegations were sent to the office of the special prosecutor, who has clearly been mandated by the constitution to do his work. And for me, I think that it's a very step in the right direction for the first gentleman of the land, together with the entire government and executive, to see to it that corruption becomes a thing of the old, and that corruption and corruption-related activities are not attractive to anybody and any well-meaning Ghanaian.
But FJ, we were told that if you look at why the perception has increased, it's also because if you look at all the scandals that seem to have happened under the Akufo-Addo-led government, the way is not clear in the eyes of the citizenry as to how they've been dealt with.
Yes, you see, if you look at the index provides you a more scientific process of measuring perception. And the reason is that, you see, oftentimes, corrupt activities are not matters that are done in the marketplace.
In the public.
Like you do it in the, you don't trade corrupt activities openly like you do commodity trading in the market. And so, globally, there's the use of the corruption perception index as a way of measuring how the public feels. Now, if you look at the corruption perception index, even on your screen, it will show, yes, much earlier, it will show that the higher the percentage, the more terrible the situation is. You will notice that the worst score ever when H.E. John Dramani Mahama was president was 70. That had come to the point that today we are doing in excess of 72. So even the worst situation under John Mahama is the best under Akufo-Addo. How did we get here? And I've always maintained that when it comes to the fight against corruption, corruption has defeated Akufo-Addo.
What do you mean by that?
Look, Akufo-Addo appointed Mr. Martin
You mean
Alamisi.
President Akufo-Addo?
Yes. Appointed the respected lawyer Martin Amidu as his first special prosecutor.
FJ, can you be using President Akufo-Addo? Okay.
Now, when he appointed him as the president of the republic, right? One morning we woke up to see a very long article from this respected lawyer. What was his conclusion? He said, if Ghanaians, you were thinking that this man is the one going to fight corruption, I beg your pardon. He's rather the mother serpent of corruption. I have never heard that word before, until the respected Martin Amidu put it out. I never knew that in the corruption value chain, there is a mother serpent. I never knew until he said. And if you watch the video where Mr. Akufo-Addo named Martin Amidu as a special prosecutor, see how he eulogized the man, his credentials. And so I want to take the words of Martin. As far as President Akufo-Addo would eulogize him, make him look good, to say that he today is the mother serpent of corruption. It's a word that is generally endorsed today by Ghanaian populace. But you see, there's even more interesting aspect. When my brother was making the point, he said, listen, Mr. Akufo-Addo had fought corruption head on. Those were his words. A man who wants to fight corruption hounded his own Auditor General out. What was his crime? For having the courage to surcharge the senior minister, a confidant of Akufo-Addo, for the Crow issues. And the moment Mr. Domelevo took the extraordinary, step of surcharging and disallowing the payment made to Crow, Akufo-Addo and his, what shall I say, his men decided to go after Daniel Yao Domelevo. As for what the Supreme Court later said, that's a matter of public record. At least we know that today, the Supreme Court of Ghana had found the conduct of Mr. Akufo-Addo in removing Yao Domelevo to be unconstitutional. That is a matter that will forever stay with Mr. Akufo-Addo when he leaves the presidency. And why do you think Akufo-Addo will remove Yao Domelevo? Because the man went after Akufo-Addo's confidants. That did not end it. Today, after Mr. Martin Amidu left office, the same President Akufo-Addo brought the person of lawyer Kisi Ejaben as his second special prosecutor. Then, Mr. Kisi Ejaben didn't know that you cannot touch Akufo-Addo's appointees, and that it was not part of his conditions of service to touch Akufo-Addo's appointees. So, again, he took the extraordinary step of going to search the house of Madame Cecilia Dapa. The very moment the special prosecutor took the step of going to Madame Cecilia Dapa's house and uncovering those huge sums of money, some wrapped in envelopes, different scenarios, what happened? Appointees of Akufo-Addo now decided to, turn the gun against the special prosecutor. There is a journalist in this country who is Akufo-Addo's appointee. Akufo-Addo every night watches his show. What has he been doing?
What do you mean by that?
Is to desecrate, undermine, discredit the special prosecutor nominated by Akufo-Addo's Attorney General, subsequently appointed by him, Akufo-Addo, and approved by the Parliament of this Republic. That's an appointee of Mr. Akufo. Look at this scenario. President John Dramani Mahama appoints you, Roland, as a special prosecutor to fight crime for him, to fight corruption, to fight all the other issues, right, for him. Guess what? Then an appointee of the same John Mahama here like me, every evening, I am undermining the very job that John Mahama has asked you to. Then I come here and sit and say, look.
But the journalist is doing his work, right?
He's an appointee of President Akufo-Addo.
Well, that's true. But he's doing his work as a...
No, he's an appointee of President Akufo-Addo. If President Akufo-Addo is not in support of what he's doing to the special prosecutor, you call him aside. In any case, the investigation the special prosecutor is doing relative to the Cecilia Dapa matter, she has every constitutional right. So far, nobody has said that the constitutional rights of Madame Cecilia Dapa has been violated. She still had the benefit of our courts. Where the special prosecutor was not happy with what is coming from the court, he took the extraordinary step of making that public. You understand? Why in God's name do you think that a memo written by the special prosecutor addressed to the finance ministry on vehicle purchases to the finance ministry will be leaked to an appointee of President Akufo-Addo to use it to discredit the special prosecutor? What it tells you in all of this game is that as far as the fight against corruption is concerned, that fight had defeated
Babiji, let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
If you have a government that in opposition did say that I am going to make sure that I put in place the relevant vehicles that would ensure that the already existing laws, either within the Constitution or other statutes that we have in the country, are reinforced and comes into power and establishes by an act of parliament a special prosecution office. It also means that that commitment is unwavering. I don't know how else for me to say it.
So you see, that's what I'm saying, that this government runs on PR, public relations.
What do you mean by that?
Set up the office, but you don't mean it.
How is that possible?
So you notice something. Anytime Akufo-Addo wants to go after former government appointees, if you notice, you refer their investigation to the CID. So, for instance, you notice that former NDC appointees that have been put to court, their investigations were done by the CID and not the OSP. Do you know what? Do you know why?
Why is that a pattern?
Yes.
Of significance?
Watch that pattern carefully.
Is the CID not one of the relevant enforcement agencies?
So,
and indeed, we've had in this country where even in the Martin Amidu case, or a number of instances, and even in the situation of the present OSP, a certain recourse has been made to the CID to unworldly help in investigations. So it's not as if that
what has been the outcome of all the CID investigation involving Akufo-Addo appointees? All cleared. All cleared. Look, the CID had the benefit of investigating the Australian visa racketeering scandal.
Yeah.
Good. The CID said there was no wrongdoing.
But it's an investigation.
They said there was no wrongdoing.
It was an
what it means,
even though we haven't seen the document that's indicating.
What it means is that those Ghanaian imposters, quote unquote journalists, imposter journalists, that went to Australia, that event never happened. Can you imagine that because of that Australian visa scandal, the next year, the Tokyo Olympics game, do you know that Ghanaian journalists were not allowed in? Because the Japanese could not vouch whether those individuals were journalists, sports journalists or not, because of what happened in Australia. Meanwhile, the CID gave us an indication that there was nothing. Nobody was held accountable for that scandal. These things are not just perception. People are reading it. People can see it. And so when the president's body language does not align with the so-called mantra of fighting corruption, people can see it. Worst case scenario, look at the situation where the president at the IEA debate gave an indication that he was going to use the Anas principle. What has become of the Anas principle today? Anas is now, quote unquote, a public enemy in this country today. You saw how.
But he said he will release something in January.
You saw how government officials, MPP party officials, went after Anas Arimiyao Anas. What was his crime? Just doing the very principle Akufo-Addo endorsed in 2012 at the IEA debate. So the point ought to be made clear that the Akufo-Addo Bawumia administration do not have any intention whatsoever to fight corruption. Because today, as we speak, they have become ultimate beneficiaries of the corrupt acts.
Now let's hear from the special prosecutor in his last press conference, raising a number of issues about whether the structures by way of how it will enable him to be able to undertake his investigations have been made right, particularly making reference to the judiciary alongside many others.
There is doom looming ahead of us, that very soon a murderer will boldly walk to court to seek an injunction. Should I feel frustrated and resign? I took an oath when I was sworn in. And in my life, when I take on the reins to do something, I do it to the best of my ability. I ought to say, those who do not understand tree, please forgive me. See, I mean, I'm quanoma. Me de me cry about for it. Me yet me to me. Emre swan. Eko.
Now, the question that has been ringing in the minds of the public as well as those in anti-corruption and governance circles is this the lowest ebb, or particularly the OSP raising this, does it mean that even his own appointed authority is not giving him the trust and the confidence?
Well, Roland, I think it's really very difficult for me to extrapolate into the mind of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, Kisi Jabe.
He's lamenting publicly.
Yes, absolutely. But I need a context of why he's lamenting. But having seen the video several times, I have cause of concern. I mean, obviously, as an emotional, sympathetic servant leader, I have a bit of a concern for his posture. Which clearly underpins the fact that we should pay a closer attention to him. I read a post by Kojo Yanka on Facebook, which was encouraging everyone to assist and support the Office of the Special Prosecutor, Kisi Jabe, in deep thoughts of prayer. I can appreciate the work and the demands that he has on himself as a public official. And I can also appreciate the levels of investigations and the levels of facts that he's recovering from his investigations. I would want to encourage him some more and also ask that he continually fulfills his God-given mandate and also fulfills the mandate of the oath that he has taken.
What do you mean by that?
To ensure that people that are involved in corruption and corrupted related activities face the full rigors of the law. I think that is key and cardinal. But it's important as well that in his emotional state, he doesn't leave the baton. He manages the responsibility that has been given unto him. But I'll tell you of a truth, that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is one leader who cares and thinks about the Ghanaian people. He's one leader that also, I mean, in ensuring the fight against corruption, the level of investment in terms of budgetary allocations that are given to anti-graft agencies is very key and is very significant. We would just need to ensure that we're encouraging persons that are serving in public offices to do their best in the interest of Ghana and also in the interest of posterity. Martin Amidu, Kisi Jabe should all do their best, and other private persons that are involved in our continual fight against corruption should continually do their best.
So do I get the understanding you would rather have the special prosecutor, of course appointed by the president, just keep quiet, and you're saying he's being emotive with these public utterances?
No, I don't.
Not rather
the goal
being
is
very
not
much
to
public
state,
and stating how he feels and why he feels there are impediments in his fight against corruption.
I'm certain he was responding to a question that might have been asked by a journalist, and so he was stating his clear position on whatever challenges that he's facing. But I'm stating that the Office of Special Prosecutor has clear channels to be able to air his views and opinions and struggles and challenges to his appointing authority. Is the Constitution that mandates the president to be able to make the appointee, because he's the appointor. And it's important that as he has made the appointment, if you are an Office of Special Prosecutor and you're having challenges, very teething challenges, you come back to your appointor so that you can be able to iron out those challenges. But it's significant to state that no one is impeding on the work of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. As far as I'm aware, there's not any impedation or limitation in his way in ensuring that he's administering whatever work that he's been given to. He is free to walk into anybody's home. He's free to go into anybody's offices. He's free to pick up documents and investigate. He's free to call you for an investigation or to assist in investigations. The law has mandated.
Mr. Boachidawa, do you think it is normal that a first or special prosecutor appointed, Martin Amidu, raises massive concerns? A second one also comes in tow, also raises significant concerns about not getting support, but also getting hindrances or impediments from structures within the state. in this fight against corruption? You don't think it's a normal thing,
Roland,
or just
Roland,
a coincidental issue?
No, Roland, uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. I think that leadership responsibility demands that you take the bull by the horn, and
when there are clear impediments. He says
when there are clear impediments in your way, you need to take the bull by the horn. Call a spade, not a big spoon. He hasn't done that. And so what are the impediments? The Office of the Special Prosecutor should come out very clearly and state that these are the impediments in my way, these are the persons that are standing in my way, name them and shame them. But once he's not been able to do that, it's all left to our own conjuncture in our head to be able to state that person A, person B, person C, person D are impeding
so
on his way.
Do you think the Office of the Special Prosecutor and then its head, the SP, Kisi Ejaben, is incompetent?
I think he's very competent. Very, very competent. I have extreme confidence in him. I've read various articles and various posts around the world about persons that hold such offices. It's not an easy task. I can assure you it's not an easy task. But I have extreme confidence in Kisi Ejaben. I know that he can be able to deliver the mandate that has been given to him. Obviously, corruption will not be totally eradicated to the barest minimum within a period of 4 years or even 7 years or even 8 years under a structured government. It's an introduction that has come into the system. It will take a long journey because look at the global statistics and the data. It costs close to about $12 billion globally.
So again, it's a global problem.
It is a global problem. I mean, corruption is a global problem.
COVID, Russia.
No, you can't bring in COVID and Russia, and that's trying to ridicule the issue. But it's a global challenge. I have not seen any government of this Fourth Republic that has been able to set up an institution that is focused, that is disciplined, that is having a clear path of ensuring that you are investigating corruption and corruption-related activities other than President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Which is why, for me, I will state that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo on the fight against corruption has been the first to begin that fight. He has allowed everybody that has been named to be involved in any corrupt activities to be duly investigated. And these evidences are there in the law court for everyone to know. So for me, I would wish Kisi Ejaben the best as a state official to be able to continue to do his work very well.
You see, Roland,
Yeah.
I made the point, and if you listen to my brother Paul Gray, he made the point that, listen, the person is competent. Now, if he is competent, why is it that consistently a person appointed by the same Akufo-Addo has taken it upon himself to undermine the very office set up by President Akufo-Addo?
What do you mean by that?
No, because you see, what I'm trying to understand is that you say the person is competent. He's doing his work. The mandate handed him, to him by the same president. We didn't appoint Kisi Ejaben. The nomination was not done by him. It was done by the Attorney General of the Republic, appointed by President Akufo-Addo. Subsequently, Akufo-Addo endorsed that nomination, sent his name to Parliament. Parliament approved of him, and he signed his appointment letter, giving him a 7-year mandate. Correct. But every evening, an appointee of President Akufo-Addo, the same President Akufo-Addo, has taken it upon himself to undermine his work. Even a confidential memo he sent to government about vehicles to be purchased for his office, for the smooth running of his office, had been leaked.
You think it's deliberate?
Yes, it was deliberately done. Oh, please. Hold on.
He'll respond to that.
You see, it was deliberately done to create an impression about the OSP. And you see, look, all over the world, law enforcement officers don't use bicycle. I have never seen. In fact, sometimes when we watch our whatever, see the kind of vehicles FBI, the rest, they use in their criminal investigation conduct. I recall when the FBI went to the house of Donald Trump,
Yes.
see the kind of vehicles they took to that place.
The protection.
Armored kind of,
As well as paraphernalia.
what have you, just to ensure, because you see, when you go after crime, you are putting yourself against harm. Simple. And so why in God's name would appointees of the same President Akufo-Addo be undermining and trying to discredit the work. Do you know why? Look, the expose on Cecilia Dapa provided the most potent smoking gun relative to the pervasive corruption under the Akufo-Addo administration. Because all this while, it has been at the level of perception. And today, on the streets, what people say is that, if Madam Cecilia Dapa alone has this under her bed, hey, what is happening with the organ at the top? What is happening with this? So the OSP's work relative to the Cecilia Dapa investigation provided the smoking gun that has exposed the pervasive corruption going on under the Akufo-Addo administration. Look, is it not curious that we were in this country when the OSP went to court and provided this as a fact, that an official, someone who works with the vice president, now the MPP presidential candidate, the one they are prosecuting for the rice, the theft, the rice theft, where it was shown that the right that was gifted by now MPP presidential candidate Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia during the Ramadan festivity was actually stolen rice. And today, that official has not, his employment has not been terminated. What does it tell you? So people read these stories, and this is what is informing the perception that is going on in the country. I hope you listen to Boakye Jakun, proud to the MPP presidential primaries, where he makes the point that when the Ameri agreement was novated, increasing the price from 510 to over $800 million, that novation processes was led by a relation of Akufo-Addo. And when he, the minister, asked this relation, Gabi Osrechirakun, he asked him, what is your locus in negotiating a deal like this for and on behalf of government of Ghana? Who gave you? Then Gabi then asked Boakye Jakun, do you think I can do this without the express authority of the president? No, but that statement has never been recanted or denied by anybody. So if the president is aware of these things going on and doesn't take any action, the account service say opinion of now and Mofra Adrian and Kano, you can refer on a day. Okay.
Well, you wanted to respond to the allocations that the special prosecutor wanted from the finance ministry. It's been leaked significantly.
Well, so Roland, from a security background, I was very concerned. When I saw that these memos have come to the public domain. One of the things I would say is that we need to be careful how we treat ourselves. It's very, very important. Roland, you need to be careful how you treat me, and I need to be careful how I treat you. Eduji needs to be careful how he treats me, and I need to be careful how I treat him. I was very concerned, and I've read various posts and extrapolations around suggestions of posture. My counsel and suggestion would be that let's refrain really from putting out very, very confidential documents that is in line with our governance processes, because the entire governance processes is a stream. The Ministry of Information has set up an RTI. So if people want certain informations, they can easily get it. You know,
he's claiming that it was leaked.
No. I can appreciate his posture, but I'm also putting the context in place. That the RTI Act gives an opportunity for people to request for documents. That RTI Act gives an opportunity for people to request for documents. When you request for such documents, it's important that you use it in light of the sensitivity of the issues. I mean, because you know, at the very highest level of security, even with car number plates, you know that they are interchanged.
So your point is on this subject.
The rationale is that so that you are protected. So if you're using a particular type of vehicle, a particular type of car number, a particular type painting of the vehicle, often you would see that it's changed so that you are not easily traceable. I had a very big concern with how that came out.
Roland.
And I hope and pray really that it doesn't continue and perpetuate in that way.
Well, let me read this from Trados. No, Eduji. Let me read this from Trados. No, The MPP led by President Akufo-Addo and Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, they failed to fight corruption. In fact, Ghana's public purse is empty due to corruption being supervised by the two. And then also, Mike Kofi Aflu says, in addition to hounding the former Auditor General, Yao Domelovo, out of office, the Deputy Auditor General, who led an audit team to reveal that 52.5 billion Ghana cedis tax revenue that was transferred from GCB Bank into a known account, has been transferred to the Ministry of Finance as director, according to what I hear. All his staff who took part in that special audit have been transferred, and some of them have taken leave of absence, etc. The audit service then recruited 150 new staff without due process. We're quoting, okay, you say. All right. And then also, I have this one from, he says, good morning. In fact, for corruption, dear Akufo-Addo, all right. Ping, ping, ping. Now, I have this one from Kizito from Tema East constituency. What is Mr. Palgrave saying? Has he cited the numerous Auditor General's reports since they came into office? A lot of scandals under this government. PDS, a number of them also coming through. Box scandal, Bust scandal, visa racketeering, and all of them people being cleared, and sometimes investigations not undertaken. We have to cash out very soon. I have this one from Kalio Manwa. The only way the country can deal with corruption cases is to employ more judges to sit in at night in order to fast-track the backlog of corrupt pending cases. And that is why a 24-hour economy is needed. And then this one also, it says, I'm a chairman of a parent association of a school in the Ashanti region. It's the association that has been helpful to assisting the headmasters to run the school. Headmasters are seriously suffering. They are voiceless now. And then we'll be doing cash out very soon. This one is coming from Eric Ashalibotwe. Galamsey has voted against MPP because some have alleged that there's corruption within the president's government. And then Musa Abattoir. Okay, so we have to do, okay, so we're doing the draw for cash out. So we have the first number for the draw, 0532401 ****. Are we doing the second one? So we'll do a second one after the break. Musa Abattoir in Aswan said, it is not about the heads of schools who are causing problems as far as education is concerned. The whole structure of our educational system must be thoroughly reformed or reviewed. And it is significant.